What's up, crypto fam? Big Rob here. We were really enjoying our time here in Miami at Bitcoin 2022. We put together a montage of all of our favorite interviews. We've found some really great, amazing projects out here at the convention. So without further ado, what's up, crypto fam? It's your boy, Big Rob, here in Bitcoin Miami. We have found one of our favorite booths out here, BlockFi. If you're not familiar with BlockFi, where the hell have you been at in the last few years? Either way, I got Shane here, the VP of
Partnerships and Business Development.
VP of Partnerships and Business Development. Now, Shane, what's the vibe here? You liking the energy? Because Miami is popping right now. It's a little humid. You know, I'm from Vegas. My nose instantly swelled up the second I got off the plane. But how you liking the conference, man? It's a lot of good energy.
Great energy. Look, crypto's everywhere. I think last year we came to this conference. We saw a couple crypto ads. We were like, this is unbelievable. Now, crypto ads when you get off the airport, crypto ads when you're driving down the highway to get to the conference. It is here, it is mainstream, and this is a great place to prove it. There's hundreds of different companies around. There's big names on the ceiling. You see Cash App, you see others. We are absolutely taking over the space right now, and more specifically taking over Miami.
Well, in case you didn't happen to realize, your boy got this sweet-ass chain on. How you doing? So the guys at BlockFi, they let me hold this for, or actually hodl this for during the interview. One of your guys put this together, so I hear. So either way, BlockFi, they come correct. They're out here in style with the chain. It's a lender. Very similar to like 2 Chainz, how he does with all his paraphernalia. Anyways, we're going to get into the questions here. Obviously, there's been the litigation thing or the settlement. How's that affecting your space? Like, how are you guys adjusting to all of that?
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, we work with retail customers all over the world. So does every crypto company. And I think really what the SEC and some of these regulatory bodies are trying to do is just create better investor protection. It's really what their job is. It's what they're meant to do in the U.S. more specifically. So I think for customers in the U.S. who are going to be working with companies who follow the rules, register certain products, provide transparency, they should have better comfort, and they will have better comfort with the types of products that will be offered and available. So, I really do think that it's a good thing. I think it's paving the way for more folks outside of the traditional space to come in, more crypto-curious folks to get more comfortable, and then for the market to continue to mature. You have to have some of these things happen, and you got to work with the regulators versus fight them.
All right, and then one last question. Now, there is an emerging space with the services that you offer as far as comparable services and other spaces as well. Now, what sets you guys apart from both traditional finances and some of these new players that you're seeing offering staking rewards, cards, very similar products? So, like, what makes BlockFi stand out against the competition?
Yes, there's a couple things that I can mention on standout, but the first thing I think I want to bring up is the ecosystem. So for those of you that aren't familiar, BlockFi has a institutional prime brokerage business and a retail financial services business. We have a full ecosystem that lives within the BlockFi umbrella. So we have large, giant hedge funds, right, that come to BlockFi to borrow crypto, big asset managers, market makers, they trade with us, etc. And then we have retail like you and me or others who use us for interest accounts, for credit cards, for loans, etc. So having the two-sided one business, that ecosystem, is very efficient for us to be able to drive efficiencies, innovations, and drive effective yield for our customers. On top of that, compliance, huge. We really focus on compliance. As you guys can see with some of the SEC work that we've done historically, we focus on security. Adam Healy, our CISO, is one of the most unbelievable people in the industry, and there's tons of content out there as he talks about some of the security practices that BlockFi follows. We've never been hacked. We've never had any sort of security issues with client funds whatsoever. And then last is customer service. You pick up the phone, you dial a phone number, and you get BlockFi on the phone. And it hasn't been like that in the last 6 months. It's been like that since we started the company.
So you can talk to real people?
You can talk to real people. You can literally talk to anyone on the team, whether it's credit card yield, it doesn't matter. We'll pick up, and best part about it too is if there's a wait or there's a delay, we'll call you back.
So we're going to leave Shane's phone number down in the description. So if you want to talk to Shane and the actual, okay, I'm just playing now. But we are going to leave so we are going to leave a link to BlockFi down in the description as well. So if you have been under a rock and you're not familiar with BlockFi, click the description. Make sure you follow the link. Follow BlockFi, one of our favorite products out there. So thank you, Shane, so much for hanging out with us. It was a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of this thing. Thank you so much. Thank you. We found a really cool vendor here. This is the Amber app, and we got Jefferson here. He's part of the marketing. And what's your exact role, by the way?
Product manager.
Product manager. So we found a really cool. It's a Bitcoin exchange of sort. I'll let him explain it a little bit more. But instead of setting your limit orders and trying to buy the dip yourself, we can automate it with this really easy to use app. Here, I'll pass you the mic and just tell us a little bit about what makes your product unique.
Hey, so we're the Amber app. You can get us at the amber.app. It's our website. So we're a Bitcoin accumulation app. Our goal is to help you accumulate the best money on earth, the best money that's ever been made, Bitcoin. And we want you to do that in an automated way. So instead of like wasting your life trying to look at charts and time the market, you can set up a different variety of automations and let the app do that for you. So we have our buy the dip. You set a drop percentage and a time frame, how much you want to buy, and it'll do it for you while you sleep. We also have our fun Twitter automations like buy the shift and stack like a sailor, so you can also have a bit of fun trolling the guys on Twitter while you stack some sats.
Awesome. Well, so we were taking a look at the interface. It's really clean, easy to use, and I was grilling them with questions, and I was saying, I'm like, hey man, why is this better than my limit orders? Because your boy's a straight trading genius. Okay, so with that said, he did put me to shame. He was showing me how you could buy the dips all the way down, so you can set a price order, or you can set it was like 10%, right?
Yeah. So like the problem with limit orders is you have to try to be like a profit and predict what the price is going to be. Or with buy the dip, you just set a drop percentage and a time frame, and like you said, you can buy the dip all the way down, so you're not going to lose out.
Awesome. Well, either way, if you guys want to know a little bit more about the Amber app, we're going to leave a link in the description, so please make sure you check them out. Really cool team here. So without further ado, thanks for checking in. Later. We found another Vegas company out here, not just ourselves, but also Marathon. If you have been watching our channel, you know that we're big fans of Marathon here, one of the biggest publicly traded mining companies out there. I have Charlie here, VP of Corporate Communications, and to tell you a little bit more about Marathon, I'll pass it over to Charlie. What is your thoughts, first of all, in Miami and this Bitcoin conference? It's off to a tremendous start.
It's fantastic is really a short answer. So this is my first time actually at one of the Bitcoin conferences of this scale. So I didn't come to Bitcoin 2021 last year, but we made the decision to be a big sponsor here this year, and it's been fantastic. It's a really fun vibe and buzz. I mean, we're right on South Beach, Miami, right, which is a great place to be. And then it's really nice to you're bumping into everybody basically in the Bitcoin industry. So it's been pretty fantastic so far.
Awesome. All right, so what's the hash rate looking like right now? Are we going to bump this thing up or what? Because I heard you guys are going to order a bunch of ASICs or get a bunch of hash rate back into your network. What's on the horizon for Marathon?
Yeah, that's the question everyone likes to ask me, right? Fortunately, we do have some updates. We just put one out about a day and a half ago, Monday night. So today we have about 35,000 Bitcoin miners online. We're just under 4 exahash as a company. We did have a little bit of delays in Q1, basically due to some regulatory hurdles because of the way that we're deploying our machines. Marathon's different in a couple ways. One of them is that we're deploying our machines directly at the source of power generation. Behind the meter is kind of the term, and that's with renewable power companies. The trick with doing that is renewables are inherently intermittent, so if you want the miners to operate at basically 100% uptime, you also need power from the grid fed back into the power station, which is the inverse of how power typically flows. And if you think about the scale we're doing that, you're talking about having 200 megawatts of power fed from the grid back into a power station. So that was a new process basically for the grid operators that we work with. And so it took a little bit longer than anticipated basically to get regulatory approval and permits done and studies done. Fortunately, we received some really good news about a week or so ago that that's all been cleared up. So the belief now is that the regulatory hurdles should be behind us, right? Things always change, you never know. But that should be behind us. We should start seeing hash rate basically come on in the next few weeks here, and then just accelerate throughout the rest of the year. So we still think we're right on track basically to have about 199,000 miners deployed, 23 exahash by early next year, which if you believe some of the third-party estimates like BitUda's, that'll put us around 7% of the total network by early next year.
So I know you referenced green, more or less green energy, and I also have caught up on an article recently where your company's going to go more green. Is this going to be like 100% of it? I'm not too familiar with how much dedicated miner units you're going to put to green, but like what's the percentage there roughly?
So a little tricky to quantify today just because we're still in the process of deploying. And if you think we're mostly going to be pulling power off of non-carbon emitting power sources like wind, solar, some hydro, a little bit of nuclear. But because of the grid connection, we don't know exactly what the mix is going to end up being long term, but it should be predominantly non-carbon emitting power sources. You're also right. So yesterday morning, if I'm getting my days straight here, we announced that we're moving our miners out of our facility in Hardin, Montana. That is a coal-powered power facility. So that was sort of our legacy model. It was done before we did our current strategy. Obviously, it was before any renewable power companies would talk to Bitcoin miners. Now that we're in a position where deployments are starting to ramp, we think we have plenty of options with sustainable power. We felt it was the right time to start migrating those miners over. So by Q3, end of Q3, I think that process should be done. And target, as we've been saying actually for several months, is to be 100% carbon neutral by end of this year. So.
One last question. So, there's been a lot of buzz around too small of amount of companies controlling the hash rate, or perhaps like a country. And there's been this FUD, or at least in my perception is FUD. Me and David kind of agree that, hey, you know what? Bitcoin's mining is becoming centralized. The network is going to be able to be controlled because it's all, most of the mining rewards is going to a smaller amount of people, and they're all aggregated in Central America and Texas and Las Vegas. But either way, that's kind of a narrative I keep hearing when people are trying to bash Bitcoin. What do you say about that? I mean, I'm sure you don't really agree that is Marathon going to take over the Bitcoin network? That's what I want to know.
So there actually was a point in time where we thought we had to be very careful about that. We thought like if you get above 10%, it would scare people of the total network, and you don't want to do that. Getting above 10% now feels impossible, actually. So if you think we've spent about $1.3 billion buying the miners that we have to build out our operations, and we've paid on average around $50 a terahash for that equipment. That equipment today is $80 a terahash. So to replicate just Marathon scale, you're talking about close to a $2 billion investment, and that's to get to at most 7% of the network if you could deploy right now. The network's obviously growing, and so as the network grows, that makes it more competitive for miners, but that also is more security for the Bitcoin network. And we're very quickly going to get to a point where if you wanted to try to take a large percentage of the network, you'd have to be a nation state in terms of the amount of capital it would require. You also would have to have access to the ASIC chips, which is a huge constraint, even if you had the capital, and even if you had the power. And you'd have to do it in secret, right? Because as soon as the network were to catch on that you're doing that, the Bitcoin network would basically evolve and shift and find a way to obfuscate you. So I think we're fortunately at a point where that might be impossible. We obviously hope that's the case. And even though we're a large company, we are predominantly in North America, we are focused on trying to make the hash rate as distributed as we can. So we have a little bit of like an unofficial advisory service at Marathon. We actually work with some other entities outside the US that are working to maybe build mining farms. We like to help them figure out, what their operations might be, what's the right equipment for them, stuff like that. So we're large. I don't think anyone can actually get to the point, though, where they're a threat, if you would, to Bitcoin.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I do want to leave you with, if you do come out when you're in Vegas, make sure you come by our studio. We'd love to have you here in house. And if you want to hit up the casinos, your boy's got a straight hot hand. And I've said it 100 times before. You know the story. I hit 77 sevens in a row on the craps table. So if you want to make some quick cash, come hang out with me at the tables. But anyways, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're big fans of Marathon. Vegas, baby, let's go. Now, those are some of our favorite projects that we ran into there at Bitcoin Miami. If there's any project that you want to know a little bit more about, please drop a message in the chat. We would love to reach out to some of the devs if there's something you want more deep dive into. Also, we do the live show as well, so if you enjoyed this content, come check us out Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Vegas time. Thank you so much.